Let it breathe here a bit. Okay, yeah, we're live. Talking to Scott, getting him warmed up. He's ready to go.
So I'm setting the unimpeachables.
Yeah.
I'm watching the thing for so there's a television right there in front of me. So I'm watching whatever's on YouTube. It doesn't have comments. It's just a Roku. So I have to take you to task, Ellis. You cost me a lot of work.
Oh, I did. What? How so?
Well, not really. So last week we were recording and you said, "Hey, you need to put some conflict in there."
Right.
So I erased all my thumbnails and went back to the drawing board. I,
Well, I mean,
I,
if it just, sometimes that stuff can be kind of shallow to you, and you can do it and take a pass at it, and your reaction be exactly what your reaction was. That, oh, I hate to do this over again, but it needs it.
it did need it. It
And I tell you what, those thumbnails, that should you should look at that and understand that anybody else that does, you know, anybody else that saw it wouldn't understand that it is kind of hard to fill those in. It takes some
oh
mental work to do that. But
oh
at the
yeah.
same time, anybody else looking at that say, well, guy, you ought to be able to do that about 10,000 times over because it looks like easy work. And they're right at that point. It is easier than anything else you'll do on the story.
Sure. It's the
But it's going to require a lot of brain power, and that makes your head hurt. I hate that. I think
well
most lazy people hate their head to hurt while they're solving something.
I messed around with since we talked last. I messed around with doing like a Photoshop thing and saving some of it in Photoshop.
Uh huh.
And really, what convinced me, what you kind of had me convinced when you told me that. I was like, okay, this is kind of he's kind of right on this thing. And the other thing was I got to looking, and I really am grooving on Bronze Age comics right now.
Yeah.
And I got to look, and it's like, man, that's what they do, you know.
Oh well, I'm watching Spy Smasher, the Old Republic serial right now,
Oh yeah,
and this is probably the best. It's easily maybe one of the best ones ever done. It's directed by William Whitney, who had a book called "Into a Room, Into a Fight, Out a Door, Into a Chase." And maybe
great.
it was and I saw one last night and I just laughed because it was exactly the formula of like entering, finding some things and setting up and getting ready and then having a big fight, then having to chase the guy outdoors and continue along that. It's like that's all you're there for those serials is like
Yeah.
uh, just the flimsiest of notions about what it is you're fighting about, but it doesn't matter as long as you've got a good fight going over this or that. And, it's like, make the fight something that interests you and make your plot, everybody's always saying, plot, who cares? Get some good characters in there and go to it.
Well, so I took your advice.
Okay.
I can't read it, but I wrote on here. I wrote conflict on every page.
Yes.
And so my thumbnails at the top, I've kind of what I did is now I don't have them all thumbnailed out. Obviously, it's a 20-page story.
Yeah.
I have 14 pages of story figured out. Okay, over
Hmm.
here, basically my outline or my plot or however you want to think about that. And then up here at the top, I put what's going on in each page. And at the bottom, I've actually written out the conflict. What's the conflict? What's the
There you
conflict?
go.
Um, and so I'm just trying to keep that in front of me, and I think the score will be a lot better for it. And so I'm going to keep my establishing shot because I like that shot of the plane in New York City. Took me a while. I'll Photoshop that in or cut it out or whatever. But then I'm even like here. Where'd those old pages go? Oh, here. So here, I'm even changing this to more of an action shot, so you see his face.
Hmm.
I don't know if you can see that, but um, and I'm not changing a whole lot in the what I had drawn, but I don't know how much I'm gonna reuse. I've kind of left areas where I could reuse some of it, but it starts off with a like you said, it was your idea. There's a fight in the airport. And I like that. It worked in the story because I decided what I want. So the story is basically a like a superhero school, like X-Men, but more Harry Pottery kind of, like somewhere in there, in that same vein. And so, my thought is, originally my thought was, well, there will be somebody rogue at the school, and that's the kind of the conflict. And but then I thought, well, wait a minute, what if I made like all along, like thinking of your idea of a this shadowy or a conflict on every page. What and you said, well, have somebody like pickpocket at the airport or something like that. So
Did I say that? I don't remember that.
you said
But you also got to think of like Dirty Harry's. Dirty, you don't follow Dirty Harry around for a lot of exposition. He's always going to have to be thrust into stuff. He's trying to eat a hot dog, and
and
some dummies robbing the bank. That sort of thing.
Anyway, so my idea was when this guy lands at the airport, immediately he's accosted in the baggage claim by some people.
Yeah.
And
Gene, some big jerk is here. He said Heidi. I think he's one of the guys that probably does something else while he's maybe got us on.
that's part. Hey, by the way, you're on the thing. It says on YouTube. It says this is an upcoming event at 1:02 a.m.
Huh.
I don't know, but well, hang on. Let me click on it and see. Oh, there, that's us.
Okay.
Wait.
102, eh?
So this is what I'm working on.
Yeah, I just was reading a thing. Apparently, there's a new biography of Stan Lee. What's it called? It's one of his old lines he invented for his.
That.
What's that? Your
It's
robot.
Not
No, it's.
I'm robot.
Yeah, a little bit. I'll find it. Here, what really Stan Lee presided over a world of superhero, but his collaborators and readers sustained his vision, and his characters outlasted it. And the book is called True Believer. Of course, that's what it's called.
That's it. Yeah,
True Believer.
I've got it on reserve at the library. I think I got the audiobook on reserve, actually.
Yeah, Gene was trying to guess. Enough said. That would have been a good title.
The problem is, I hear it's kind of a hatchet job, little Stan, and people.
Yeah. Sounds like it could be.
I think that people give Stan. I mean, they act like, oh, Stan should have done this or done that, but he was a corporate guy. I mean,
yeah, oh yeah.
Had to do, the books had to make money. Now you can, and part of the problem was Jack Kirby. Everybody talks about Jack Kirby, which I like Jack Kirby, but Jack Kirby was not a self-promoter, and we've talked before about how you gotta be a little bit of a self-promoter if you want to get.
Yeah, oh yeah. It's all about that. It really is. A person realizes that later if you get around anything like an organization, you realize, why am I even here if I'm not promoting? Because you see the other people that do get ahead. They get ahead for a reason.
Yeah. Anyway, so
yeah, of course that goes to politics and stuff like that, and you could it's hard to take that. You got to be good at it to But anything that doesn't, that's the reason so many guys with the cartoonist kind of personality just have to have some sort of monster breakaway success to be anything in life. Like Scott Adams fascinates me as a guy that thinks he's got it all and got it all figured out and got his talent stacked together and all that, as he puts it. But I think he got pretty lucky in a lot of ways in terms of like.
Well, I mean, you don't get. Let's face it. Anybody that's syndicated got lucky. You know, I mean, just with the odds of syndication.
Yeah.
You know, there's a. I mean, you can argue talent or whatever, and that's certainly true. But he is not. He was not the most talented person on the Sunday comic.
Well, I mean, yeah, and someone could have gone to that instead of his writing ability. His writing ability, of course, what sells it, and that's what he's one of the first guys I realized as I looked at his artwork. And this goes to Stan Lee too. Is like I realized the writing was really everything. I hate to say that, but and of course, people buy comics strictly for art often. But
Yeah.
If it's a bad story, you'll quit buying them. I think most of that Image stuff that had all that great Jim Lee art and all that, you you've got no memory of any of that crap that came through that whole big peak Image period. You know, they were just kind of interesting character designs, is all you remember about it.
Yeah, that's probably true in a lot of ways.
Yeah,
But
they just didn't. They just weren't. They weren't great writers. Period. You know, I can't.
I
I
don't think
guess the guy.
wasn't that
What's
important
that?
to him. With you.
Yeah, it wasn't that important to them. They were coming off of a thing where it was probably like artists being able to do everything on a video game. It was it probably felt like it was very freeing to get rid of that awful problem of having to do these stories you hated doing. You know.
Oh yeah, I've heard stories about how some of those Image guys, when they were working for other people, working for other writers at Marvel, they were constantly like turning in stuff that's like, what in the world? Well, in fact, uh,
Yeah, I mean
um,
they hated a lot of the stuff they were having to illustrate, and it takes so much to do
in fact,
illustration. It's like, oh, imagine hating it if you're having to do it.
I had
You
a
know.
conversation with a local writer. I won't say his name, but he worked for DC. I don't know if he still does. And don't guess because you'll probably guess him if you guess. But he did a
Okay,
series
well,
with Rob Liefeld, and he was telling me that, and this was recent, fairly recent. Let's put it that way. And
hmm
he said he was complaining because he said I would draw. I would say, this takes place at the White House, and he said, "Give me a blank room with nothing in it." It's like, he would draw something completely different than what I put in the script. And
uh-huh.
it's like, how do I deal with that?
Yeah. I mean, yeah, that sort of conflict is going to come to bear too on that sort of stuff. And it's kind of a classic story, and that's what all of that Kirby book, of course, goes to. Is a lot of like who came for who did most. You know, the old story of like was it Kirby or
Stanley.
Lee, Stan Lee, yeah, Lieber.
I'm a big John Byrne fan, and I know several of our regular viewers are John Byrne fans. And I was reading an interview with John Byrne just today, and there's a book called The X-Men Companion. I forget which volume I was reading, and it was talking about how he would, and John Byrne has said this, that Claremont would write against what he wrote. And the classic example is when Cyclops is tearing this big tree out, and Claremont is like, my heart will burst and stuff. But
Oh yeah,
there's no tension in it that makes it. He's writing against the pictures,
Yeah,
And
he's a caption guy that isn't paying attention to what he's seeing
yeah,
that the artist has done. Oh man, that would be tough. That would be
and
really hard to work against.
well, one of the examples and the thing I was reading was at one point he thinks that Jean Grey is dead, and they're in the Savage Land. The X-Men, they get separated because Magneto's volcano base has been destroyed by the X-Men. He had the X-Men prisoner, and in the course of them trying to escape, they destroyed this. Well, Jean, and the Beast get separated from the rest of the group while this volcano is collapsing in on them. So they think that they're killed. So he's looking at his reflection of himself, and John Byrne has like this somber moment, and he's kind of growing a mustache because they've been and in the text it says something about, man, this mustache looks really good on me.
Oh my God,
Like,
that'd be rough.
Love interest for 122 issues or whatever is allegedly dead, and you're just like, hey, look, I grew a mustache. You know?
That's pretty. Yeah. That's great.
In fact, the story is that John Byrne still lived in Canada, and Roger Stern, who was the editor of the book at the time, had come up to show him the like on vacation, but he was going to show him the make readies, the printed proofs or whatever. And he said that, and in the interview with John Byrne, he said he was so mad. He was looking at him out on the balcony of his apartment. He was so mad, he was yelling. He said, I wanted to throw the book off the balcony. And he said the neighbors were coming out because he was yelling at the top. He was so pissed that the text didn't match what he drew.
Yeah.
But I would argue
but he was left that creative window of doing that, huh? I mean, it was his job to be just captioning.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
Or he was given that total license to be the guy that puts the words on the page. Wow.
I think they worked off a plot. I don't know about any particular issue, but my understanding is that John Byrne would draw off the plot, and so he had to, and so he didn't have a script with dialogue on it when he was drawing. So
the Marvel method, yeah.
Yeah, kind of. I mean, I don't know if it was quite that. The true Marvel method is pretty loose. I don't know if it's quite that loose, but it was loose enough that it didn't have dialogue on it. Which, I don't know. I think it's a mistake to work that way, but I don't know. It's one of those kind of things. A good collaboration, everybody should add to the process. So I mean, it should have worked, and I think it did work. It just they just had different visions of what was going on, and as much as I like John Byrne's art, he is notoriously kind of a hothead, and pretty
well. Yeah, and that sort of stuff can happen. I mean, you're there to make it funny for what you think, whatever you imagine your audience is, and maybe he thought that mustache joke was going to have him rolling in the aisles,
I think he didn't, if I remember the interview right, he just felt like it wasn't really, they had this relationship, and it kind of cheapened the whole thing or whatever, so anyway. I was watching your video where you were in your kitchen or whatever. Your 15 minutes you actually recorded.
Yeah, I left my camcorder on accidentally, and I'm religious about turning that off. So it really surprised me by the time I got around to checking my email that I had this whole long row of warning. Your alarm is going off. So I had all that to work with, and I said, yeah, I'll just paste it into iMovie and make a project out of it.
There you go. Make content out of it.
Yeah. I found it pretty interesting. All that.
We have a camera in our kitchen, and it goes off anytime there's motion in the kitchen. So,
Yeah, yeah.
so
Well,
we did.
where do you catch the product that it produces? Where does it go?
It goes to the. It's a Ring, so it goes through the Ring app,
Uh huh.
and then if we need it, we can download it from Ring.
Okay. That
The
came with your doorbell, huh?
Well, it's an add-on to the doorbell. The doorbell is a
Okay.
different camera, but it's we got an additional camera to go with the doorbell. And it's funny because like at work the other day, it went off and I was watching, and Michelle was in the kitchen feeding the dog. And at one point I thought, this is kind of weird. I'm kind of kind of watching my wife feed the dog, and she's unaware of it. There's no alarm.
Well, yeah, you gotta watch that kind of stuff. Yeah,
Well, she knows it's there. So, but yeah.
yeah. Well, I know that camera's there too. I don't, but there I was not realizing it was on. Well, it could be on all the time for all a guy knows.
Yeah, I would assume we assume ours is. I have a webcam on my phone that I keep pointed to the wall, just because I do assume that if it's not on, somebody can turn it on.
Yeah, yeah. I tell you that I think that's pretty well established. That can be done. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not, but
Man, I'm having a hard time today. Part of it is I just haven't been drawing much lately.
what have you been doing?
Oh, I've been listening to this stupid. Well, I quit on that today. It was all the prosecution on the impeachment. I said no, I'm not going to listen to this.
Oh
So I'm
gosh,
gonna come back Friday for the defense and see if they make me as mad as they did their first pass. Because I tell you, Trump is. He had to. These lawyers came together this past Sunday. And they had to be ready Tuesday, and you could tell it. There wasn't anybody who thought those people did a good job in their presentation for Trump, and all the Democrats, all they've been doing is thinking about it. So
oh,
it's pretty uneven right now, but it doesn't
yeah,
matter. It shouldn't matter because the votes should just reflect. Well, the votes are just going to be partisan. They don't have enough unless they swing Republicans, and that's highly, highly possible that
yeah.
they can make some deals and stuff like that, get some promises from Democrats, and go ahead and swing an actual thing because there's as many Republicans don't want to see Trump come by again as there are Democrats, and it may just have a horrific thing where they have enough votes. That'd be just
I'm sure I still absolutely don't understand what the point is. you
no.
know,
Well, the point is that the Democrats do not want to run against him again, and
well, but
that's the whole point.
sure, and I think probably a valid concern of theirs, but I don't. It's just a circus. I think you can't. You'll never convince me there's not better things they need to be working on.
Oh no, I
Yeah,
mean, and they get that criticism every day, and they could care less about it. Yeah.
but they don't care. Yeah, oh, and I get it. There's a certain segment that is just all about you know revenge or whatever for
Mm-hmm.
whatever. I don't even know what for winning the president. I don't know. But the makes no sense to me. I mean, nothing can happen to the guy. That he will not go to jail over this. You know.
Oh, like I say, it's not about jailing.
Oh yeah. Well, I don't think he'd run again, but who knows? He might.
Probably not. Probably not.
But anyway, so I work from home. I've been working from home, man. Well, I work from home today. Now, yesterday I went into the office for my office opened late because of the ice.
Yeah. Yeah,
And
I didn't get out for my walk today because of the ice. Yeah.
no, you didn't. The yesterday I opened at 9:30. Well, I thought it was gonna be bad, so I worked from home, and then I went in, which was probably a good plan. It's always good when I get in the office because there's just so much chaos that needs to be dealt with.
Mm-hmm.
And then today I was gonna go in, and then I got an email from my company talking about the parking lot is still very slick, so if you come in, be careful. And I was like,
Uh-huh.
you know what? Forget that. You know, it's like if it's so bad that they're giving us warnings, I think I'll work from home all day, and I did. But I spent a good chunk of the day on the phone, talking to. It's amazing when you become a guy who can, I don't know, solve people's problem or whatever. God, you get a lot of phone calls, a lot of problems.
Well, yeah, and well, have you elevated that to any extent that people had better check with you before they do anything, or is it just mostly people just reassuring themselves by checking with you, or actually needing you to solve things?
No, I get called into stuff all the time. So for anybody that's listening, about what 2 or 3 months ago, they put me in charge of our sculpting department at my work. We have we're a trophy company, so we have a decent sized sculpting department. And man, it's been just a bunch of problems. Just because of the time frame, everything takes so long to get stuff cast and sculpted and all this jazz. And no one thinks about how much time all this stuff takes. And
Yeah, yeah. There's always like someone in the pipeline that balled it up, and then it always ends up at your end needing to be done. Yeah, I think that's
uh,
universal. So
thinking of
someone
bull.
someone at the start of the pipeline kind
Yep.
of
Yeah.
is treated as the prima donna or whatever, and you're at the end of the pipeline, and it's like, hey, what's wrong with those guys?
Yep.
They know we need this stuff.
Yep.
Yeah,
That's exactly what I deal with. Luckily, people know where the real problem is, and it's like they had this for six
yeah,
months, and you guys got it a week before it was due. You know,
yeah,
so
exactly.
people know, but it still doesn't make that doesn't mean that they don't want the problem fixed. That they know what just knowing the cause doesn't help it. You know.
I had a halfway decent drawing going here, but I just totally messed it up once I started applying this wash. But I'm just going to go ahead with it and see what just how bad it gets. We'll go ahead and do it.
You know, my theory is all drawings got to go through a phase where they look terrible before they
Oh
look
yeah.
good.
Oh yeah. Sure. Sure. Yeah. It's got to be a big pile of.
Well, you got to know it's not done till it's done, and then when it's done, you're
Yeah.
like, oh, that's good. You know.
I've decided I haven't done any finished artwork in my entire career. I just never had the that
Well,
personality that takes it to a finish. I've always just been a sketch
I'm
artist.
probably kind of like that too. I tend to be pretty sketchy sometimes.
Yeah.
Um, I've
Which,
noticed that.
yeah,
You
go
know, it's
ahead.
like oh, great stuff, and then it's like a bunch of doodles. You know.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's all I do anymore. It's just remind myself that I kind of like have a bunch of knowledge in my head, and it comes out in 2D.
Yeah. Well, yeah, whatever. You know,
Yeah.
I'm not. I'm not too concerned about it, honestly. Like, okay, it is
Well,
what
I'm
it
not
is, right?
concerned about it. It's just a not a judgment on myself. It's just you know I look back not in anger, but I look back in yeah. It was. It's amazing how much recent psychology stuff on YouTube is holding my interest. It's like, wow, you should have figured this stuff out 60 years ago. You know about this and that about your personality development and all that.
Yeah,
But like Jordan Peterson's appeal, it's like, yeah, tell me what I ought to be thinking, about this and that in my life. And we need it a little bit. We need mentors.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know.
You don't think we need mentors? I think we need mentors. I think everybody, well, anybody without one is suffering from not a disability, but a disadvantage. Yeah.
Well, I would say this. I mean, I feel like I've learned a lot from you. I mean, for as self-deprecating as you can be sometimes, and I learned. Immediately I was no, but I got a email from a guy that I consider a mentor, kind of a spiritual mentor, if you will, just recently, and he said, "Oh, I got some." He has written several books, and I basically went through like a year-long. Oh, I don't know if you'll call it a Bible study, but it was a Bible study. It was a year long, but it was based on some books he has written, and it just a overview of the Bible. It wasn't anything radical or anything, but he had some new stuff, and he asked me if I'd read it and let him know what I thought about it, which I thought was kind of cool.
So it's getting in the way of your Lord of the Rings reading. You're a fast reader, and you just announcing that you're still reading Lord of the Rings makes me aware of just what a project that is to get into. Well, it takes a while to read all that.
I haven't picked it up in about a week, dude. So
okay.
If I get to read an hour a week, I've been pretty lucky. I can read about 100 pages in an hour though. So.
Well, I know what's slowing my reading down. It's the little bathroom that I use. It has gotten so cold. I don't hang out in it.
Well, that could be a problem.
That's the reading room.
I was going to ask you how not about your reading room, but about how what the temperature is like in your house.
Oh, it's fine if I've got the drapes all closed, got certain doors like the room to that bathroom. All the rooms to the bathrooms are closed because they don't really have vents for heat going into them, and there's no reason to keep them all that hot.
Careful they don't get so cold you have pipe issues.
No, it shouldn't be a problem.
Okay.
No, it would be nice if it was that tight, but it's not. There's always going to be some heat leaks going on here. This is not a very this thing is a piece of crap, but it's I do these drawings on this kind of night in a very awkward manner.
Just trying to.
Yeah, ergonomic.
Oh, that's funny. Since I worked at home today, I was up here early, about 6:00, and I spent a good amount of time adjusting everything.
Oh yeah, ergonomics are important if you want to actually seriously get down to it and get some drawing done.
You can see the very end of my my drafting machine, right?
Mm-hmm.
The problem, I have my sketchbook, so I can see my thumbnails. But as I was answering the phone or connecting to you, I had it stuck up there, and I was still doing perspective grids, so I couldn't leave it up here. So I had a kneaded eraser. I had it stuck up at the very top of my desk, which I can't reach. It's way up there. I mean, I can reach the bottom of the sketchbook, but I had this jammed into it, and it was up there. About the time I'm working, all of a sudden it breaks loose, and it all comes sliding down.
Oh boy, yeah, I've had many mishaps like that.
So you kind of missed out on that little adventure. But anyway.
Hey, you know what? Now that I've erased this and I've got a whole lot of lost line in it, I can see some charm to it. So I may just leave it right like this.
Keep on trucking, man.
Yeah. Want to give him little eyeballs. Did you ever read any of the artist S. Clay Wilson's underground comics? He did the Checkered Demon. They were always real vulgar, and they were always kind of like that guy that did Boiled Angels. They're kind of like stuff that's moved off the bathroom wall onto the comics page, basically.
8 times better.
Yeah, yeah.
But not really, other than seeing his stuff in.
I mean, it was funny. It was funny though. He was, well, he's like that Boiled Angels guy. He was kind of at his heart pretty funny, you know.
What I saw was reading books that had excerpts from it in there, you know. Books about comics or comics. So no, but I saw he passed away.
Yeah, said he they had no explanation from him for it, but he apparently was just found coming home after some drinking in the street between two cars, you know. So it's like the fact that the article speculates whether or not he was attacked or, maybe hit or something like that. It's like, well, the guy went into therapy for a long time. Did he not ever tell you what happened to him? You know, it's like, I guess maybe he didn't remember it or something.
Oh, wait a minute. That's not how he died, but just at one point he was found in between some cars.
Yeah. He just never was the same after that. And that was like several years ago.
Oh, gotcha.
But he tried to get back to where he could draw again, but apparently it didn't work very well.
My paternal grandmother was an alcoholic, and they found her one time in the parking lot of a bar, and there was speculation about whether she had been hit by a car. She was injured, bruised, and they thought maybe she'd been hit by a car. So
yeah, I tell you, floating around on that in that booze altered state is anything can happen and likely to, you know.
Yep. Don't not the best way to spend your life, that's for sure. Especially at the age of my grandmother was that way. I think she stopped drinking a few years before she died. You know. I mean, she was probably in her 70s when this happened to her, so But
hey, Gene thinks that Hulk looked pretty good. It just, it came out of roughing around a little bit of some pencils. I never am happy with my Hulks because to me, a Hulk, you need to be able to do like Kirby and say, here is my square block of mass, and now I will find the Hulk in it, and not deviate. Trying to put what you know about how to draw a figure into some mass like the Hulk, the way that Kirby used to draw it, is like it's pointless. It's like deal with that mass you're putting down and draw with that mass. Don't put any of your Bridgman knowledge in it. Just draw that mass. I'll draw another one. See if I do better.
Yeah, I'm happy with my Hulk. I have better luck with the Thing. Who's similar proportions, but my
very similar.
Free comic book day, there's always some bozo that wants a Hulk, and it's like, well, first off, it's like, okay, I'm not doing these in color, so you're not going to be happy with it.
Not getting him green. Okay.
Yeah, he will not be green, so we're already behind the 8 ball on the deal. But it's kind of fun to try. I draw a lot of Hulks in my sketchbook, but I'm just not very happy with any of them. Conan, that's another character I draw in my sketchbooks a lot.
Yeah, Savage, Conan, yeah. Any character that is just pure
muscle.
Just muscle, drawing anatomy studies, and that's that thing we all dig doing.
Yep. Oh, I sent you the link to that book I ordered.
Yeah.
The anatomy book. It's supposed to come out like at the end of February. When I was a member Okay, so for the listeners, there's an online school called New Masters Academy. It's kind of an art school. Oh, and I think, and they do videos, and I think for like $400 you get like a year or something like that. And a couple of years ago they had a special, and it was half price on Black Friday, and so I joined. And one of the best videos was this guy named Ray Bustos, and he said, "Oh yeah, this was 2 years ago," and he said, "Oh yeah, I'm doing an anatomy book." He did an anatomy course that I thought was really, really good. I'm doing an anatomy book, and it'll be out by I'm gonna have it out by San Diego Comic Con. Well, never came out, never came out, never came out. And just this week, I got an email from Design Studio Press, who I don't believe was attached to it originally, and it said, yeah, his book's coming out, and if you order it, there's a code, and if you do the code, you get like 10% off or 15% off or something. So I ordered it because I thought his stuff was really good, and
Yeah, that name
and I
sounds familiar
and
to me.
I'm what his
The
name?
name sounds familiar to me, but again, that may be a deja vu effect.
Well,
Since
there's
after
probably
all, you have sent it to me at this point, and I may be just saying, "Yeah, I've heard that name before." Yeah, I sent it
yeah.
to you.
He I think he's a California guy, so
Hmm.
he may have floating around in some of the same
Right.
areas you did. I mean, I think he does like anatomy stuff for like I think he's one of those guys that shows who left the air conditioner out. Yeah, no kidding, man. It wasn't me.
Yeah,
It
it
was
didn't take too long to get tired of this cold weather, did it? We've had such a mild bunch of temperatures all winter long. It's like you think you're in winter because it's a little cool, and then you realize once it actually gets cold again, it's like, oh yeah, this is winter, and I hate it. Yeah.
yeah. The Monday. Let's see. So Monday, what's that? Wednesday. Monday, I drove to work, and it was a little bit of ice on the way, but it wasn't too bad. I left early for work, thinking like, okay, it's going to take me a while to get to work, and then I got there pretty easily. So then when I left, there was ice on my car, there's ice on the road. I'm on the highway, and my tire light comes on,
Oh no. Yeah.
and I,
That's
oh crap!
stuff.
Now, when I was a kid, probably 15 or 16, there was a snowstorm here, and I remember very distinctly on the news they showed a taxi driver who got stuck in the snow. And when he dug, and they were there, they were watching him dig himself out. And when he dug himself out, he had a flat tire under all the snow, and that made this
Yeah.
horrible impression on me because I was like, "Man, that'd suck."
Yeah. Yeah. When things can go wrong, they will go wrong, and
Yeah.
that's sort of a thing. At the worst time that you could want a flat is, when the conditions are, would kill you if you got out in it to fix it. Yeah.
So I was like, "Well, crap," and so I got off the highway, and there was a tire place right there, and so I had, and of course I'm waiting to get over there. There's just a million people in the line and all that.
Yeah.
So I had Michelle call. I couldn't. They didn't look open. They looked. So I told Michelle, go, hey, call them and see if they're open, would you? And so she called them. By the time she got through, I was there, and they were open, but they were getting ready to close. It was about a quarter till 6. And I talked to the guy, and I said, yeah, my tire light's on. He said, well, honestly, he says, probably just the cold. He said, do they
Yeah.
look flat? Well, I always have trouble telling because they're low profile tires. And he goes, let me look at them real quick. So he comes out there and he goes, he said none of them look particularly low. He said I would just put air in them and you should be okay. And so I said, well, where can I get air around here? And he sent me to a place, but I couldn't get there. So again, I called Michelle and said, will you look up where a place like this is that I can get air? Because it's an on queue. I said, the on queues always have air. And so
Hmm.
she said, well, there's one. She directed me to one. I said, I don't think there's one queue there. She goes, yeah, well, according to online it is. And I said, well, okay, I'll go. And I went there, and they had the tire thing, but it was the greatest one ever because you set what pressure you wanted in your tires. Now I had a gauge in my car,
Oh, that would be nice. Nice if you didn't have to monitor your pressure as you did it.
Oh yeah, and dude, you put it on there and it filled it up automatically, and it stopped when it got to what you set it at. It was a
Very
great
cool.
thing ever, and so I did that, and then yesterday I drove to work. Like I said, I went in late, and I didn't have any trouble. So I guess it was just low on air, you know. But I was like, I'm going here for air all the time, you know.
Yeah, yeah. Hell, I may drive over there. No, I got to check
Well,
out my on cue. For all I know, is it may be a new adaptation across the whole
this
whole
was a fair,
franchise.
but yeah, I mean, yeah, if they all have them, it was phenomenal. I was like, this is great, man.
I am. I'm weakening on this no coffee. I've been drinking a coffee every morning, and all it tells me is that coffee is wonderful. And I'm
Yeah.
going to go back. I'm going to buy a Mr. Coffee, and I'm going to start drinking coffee again. I got to
What?
have it.
How were you making it before?
Well, I was making it with instant for a while, but
Oh, then
I've decided to just go ahead and go back and make coffee. You just really like drinking, you
yeah. I
know.
mean, I'm drinking coffee as we talk.
Right now, yeah, yeah, and it'd be nice to have a little coffee right now.
Well, but you had a. I thought you had a pot. Did you not have a coffee pot before, Ellis?
Well, I've got something that would work as a. I had one break, and that's kind of when I decided to
Uh,
let's go ahead and quit. But I was getting along with this 2 3 cup one of those little bitty Mr. Coffees.
oh yeah, I got a 12 cup Mr. Coffee, and
Yeah. Well, that's
I
what
mean, but
I'm going to treat my next Mr. Coffee machine as something that is making only 2 or 3 cups at once, so that I don't uh,
yeah, you make all.
flash drink my way through, uh, you know, 20 cups all of a sudden, realize all of a sudden what are you
Well,
doing? You just drank 20 cups of coffee.
I been taking a thermos to work, and you fill that thermos, and you look at it and you go, God, I put 10
Yeah.
cups of coffee in this thermos.
Yeah.
You get to work, you drank it all by 8 o'clock. You're like, huh, you
Huh.
know.
Yeah, yeah. And it's like,
But I
and it can
I
be
don't
bad for you. And
I,
plus, I like the effect of sleeping better because you haven't
yeah.
drank so much coffee.
Well, I drink coffee with less. I drink chicory coffee has less caffeine. So,
Yeah.
but and I don't have a problem sleeping. And when I do, I'll usually take like 3 milligrams of melatonin.
You
And
do.
you, oh yeah, that'll knock me out with no problem. It's not
You
very
know what?
much.
I got in the habit of, I forget what started. Oh, I guess I just had a bad cold at one time. And so I was taking some NyQuil, and I realized that stuff is a hallucinogenic and just gives you the coolest dream states. And I got, and it's funny because it just shows that I just do things that without realizing what I'm doing stuff half the time. And I finally read the label after I'd been, using
Yeah,
that stuff for 2 weeks. It's just kind of like a high
yeah.
to go to sleep, and it says right on it, don't use this a lot. It causes liver damage. It's like,
Oh
what
god.
the hell? And if I'd known that, I wouldn't have been doing it just for a little bit of fun dream state. But I want to keep my liver intact, so
Yeah, you don't want to.
I quit that.
You'll need that at some
Yeah, I'll
point.
need that liver. So, but yeah, that was one of those things where someone asked somebody about the donor of a liver one time, whether he was, because you can donate a kidney, but
Yeah,
you've gotten your liver from somebody that don't need it no more. You
yeah,
know.
yeah. They're not. Yeah, you're not going to meet them.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. You're not gonna meet them later. I think it
So
was
I got
for a. Yeah, go
got a
ahead.
comment in the mail today.
Oh, what you get? Oh, look at this.
Avengers 166.
And you're calling these Bronze Ages?
Yeah, this is Bronze Age.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Which would
this
be all after Jim Shooter came along?
no before. I don't. He may have been. If oh, you know what? He wrote this.
Yeah, exactly. I'm
Uh,
thinking Jim Shooter is kind of like what you start talking about being Bronze Age, right?
well, the technical Bronze Age is 75 to 85,
Okay.
but Archie Goodwin's the editor.
Oh,
Uh,
wow. I love Archie Goodwin.
it's from Tulsa, I believe, isn't he, or Oklahoma?
Oh,
He's
yeah.
somewhere.
Yeah. He was born in Tulsa, and I met him in Tulsa at a Tulsa Con one time.
Oh, really?
Yeah, the celebrity suite up at the top of
Oh,
a
really?
nice hotel. Yeah, it was kind of fun hanging out with him a little bit. We were watching a Sergio Leone movie together on the I forget which one is probably it was A Man with No Name, whichever one it
Oh.
was.
Hey, that reminds me. I was going to ask you. Have you ever heard of these two guys that supposedly are big spaghetti western stars? It's like Terrence and Bud. It's like
Oh yeah.
I watched. I watched a movie. It cropped up on my Amazon list called Odds and Ends. I think it's modern. It's not a western, but apparently they did a bunch of movies set in Florida, and they're gamblers. It's kind of they're. It took a while to warm up to it, but once I got into it, I was like, okay, this is kind of cool.
Yeah, that's what started that whole franchise is their chemistry together. And I believe they always, even if they change character names, they're playing the same characters or whatever. It's that sort of thing. And that guy, the real handsome one, is he was in that uh, the oh, My Name Is Nobody with the dad of Jane Fonda, Peter. No, what's it? Henry Fonda.
Okay.
Have you ever seen My Name Is Nobody?
Uh-uh.
That's pretty interesting. What is his name? What is the main actor's name? The handsome one.
Not the heavyset one with the beard.
No, yeah, and yeah. I guess you could say he was the handsome one. I don't know.
I think it's. I don't know. To be honest with you.
Yeah, I knew his name at one time. I'm just not retrieving names the way I used to.
Hey, none of us are.
Yeah.
Anyway, I thought and I wondered if you had seen any of their stuff. I figured you probably had.
Yeah, I've seen some of it. They're always funny. They always play with the trope a little bit. They have a little fun with it, and
Yeah.
and that's the thing you look for is like, are they having fun? Are they being inventive? Are they just And then they always seem to be like making the effort to put out a fun little entertainment.
Oh yeah, yeah. I haven't watched all of it. I've been watching a little bit here and there, and yeah, I think it's called Odds and Ends. It's on Amazon Prime. But
Yeah, I think Amazon Prime has their first one too.
it does. I saw that on the.
Yeah.
It's on my list now.
Terrence Hill is correct, and Bud Spencer, that is also correct.
Okay.
Thank you, Gene. He knows his stuff. Of course, I could be dropping off here and multitasking and looking stuff up, but I'm not doing that.
Yeah. It is not that big a deal, but thank you.
Yeah. Some of these things when you
Oh, you got another Hulk.
yeah, I got another one going here. I'll do it again.
That one looks good.
Yeah, I'm doing it with ballpoint. I didn't just tear into the to the the wash.
Oh yeah.
It occurred to me, how much it would be worth, of course, to see. When you think about Kirby, they had his page. They had what he did for pages in 1 year, one time of at his peak. He was doing like, what did they say? It was just some incredible number on that article, and I thought, oh my God, he was doing on average 2 pages a day, which would, work out to at least, 400, 500 pages a year. And it's like, that's crazy. And, but at the same time, it made you realize, now, how did he manage to do that without anybody ever taking live footage of him drawing? I mean, it's like all he was doing was drawing. Someone pointed a camera at him while he's doing it. It would have been nice to see him while he was in the total fugue state or whatever he got into while he was drawing, to have seen it while it was happening. Fugue state, yeah. Whatever, trance. I wonder if he was a guy that kind of like got cross with his wife or anything for interrupting him while he was like right in the zone.
I don't. He had when he was coming up, he was in bullpens and stuff. So I doubt he was that precious with his. I gotta have my inspiration kind of thing.
Yeah, he just did it.
He probably used to working in.
Lots of pressure.
Well, just a lot of stuff going on around him.
Mm-hmm. That's the way to be, rather than being a guy that I can't get over these guys like like Doug wanting to make a conference call while you're working. It's like, what are you doing? I can't work like that. And of course those drawn in quarters. That's one of the most demanding things about it is keeping the pattern going on while you're drawing. It's like, yeah. And some of these guys that have been doing it a while on those drawn in quarters, they just quit talking. It's like, now why are we on here again? You guys aren't even talking to us. Well, I'm busy winning.
Yeah, I think that's the thing.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's hard to draw with
it's
an
a different
audience.
part of your brain. Yeah, it's a different part of your brain. Your part of your brain that talks is not the part of your brain that's doing the drawing.
Yeah, but I think it's good. I think I've heard, for example, John Byrne. I want to talk about John Byrne again, but I've heard him say that some of the best pages he's felt he's drawn were pages where he was talking to somebody on the phone and kind of half paid attention, and he kind of entered kind of a Zen state, kind of, the nice thing is when you do that, you tend to not overthink everything. You kind of get out of your own head, so to speak, or out of your own way.
I think every artist is at some point is a little bit surprised when they do a good drawing. It does, every time it's like, all right, pulled it off again.
Hey, what do you know? Something happened. I'm always surprised when I draw something and I'm like, okay, this looks okay. And then I'll see something that similar that somebody that I know maybe, or maybe somebody I just know online draws. And it's like, wow, mine came out so much better than that. I'll draw like a car or something, and I'll see somebody else draw a car, and it'll be like, man, maybe mine wasn't as bad as I thought it, because I would think, everything looks terrible.
Yeah, it's tough. As much as we all get around and are exposed to each other via social media, it's tough to hang on to your own little, conceits about how good you might be, because you see, well, if you're like me, you're everything you've got is loaded up with art coming at you from people because that's your interest, So it's like, oh, look at that guy. Look at that guy. And I've got all the tutorials coming at me from YouTube. It's like, oh, yeah, I need to learn how to do that.
I see a lot of people that are pretty terrible, though. I mean,
yeah.
I mean, it doesn't take long before you're like, oh, this person is fairly successful, within their kind of realm or whatever, but man, they're not really that good,
There's one guy on YouTube I've been following. He's got a real slick presentation. He does really good art himself, but he is probably one of the worst instructors. I'm not going to name him or anything, but his stuff just stops you real quick, like, because you realize it's like he doesn't. He's not passing anything on to you. It's really odd. It's you'd think. I don't know. I think he's just looking for numbers. Is what I'm thinking.
Is he a famous person?
Not particularly, but I think he's got a lot of videos, and I think he's got a lot of subscriptions. Yeah. Hey, that's looking pretty good. You got right into it today.
Oh yeah. I
got a couple of panels pretty well.
Yeah, I mean they're blocked in pretty good.
I think I'm just going. I'm going to do little dinky doodle thumbnails instead of trying to actually draw now.
I would be happier with. I don't know. I think it's working out. It's working out. We'll see what it looks like when it's done.
I've been watching these YouTube guys that talk about YouTube success, and I tried to pass that on to you guys that have done an awful lot of content called Better Than Fiction. That all you needed to do was come along and add little JPEGs that go with your content, and you guys would just be storming along with a channel because you've got all that content. Hey, you guys, been a while since I caught you live. How about that? There is Nasser Rabadi, who I always enjoy him on social media. Yeah, Nasser. Yeah, what do I act like I'm introducing you to him? Nasser.
Yeah.
And I'm introducing Nasser to the world. No, everybody knows Nasser. Nasser is that combination that you need of self-promotion. He gets it. He gets that you got to do it if you want to have your stuff looked at. You got to promote it.
Yeah, I think that's very true.
Nasser. Oh, I better not say. Maybe that was a confidential kind of thing. He's got a really cool project, an old classic horror movie that he is going to do his take on it because the horror movie is total public domain, and it would be a fun thing to take. And I'm not going to tell anybody that because Nasser may want to keep that under his hat.
Yeah, don't.
But it would be a fun thing to try scripting a new vision for it. Public domain, obviously it occurs to people to say, hey, this has got name recognition. I'm going to do my take. Here we go, down the rabbit hole.
I was embarrassed one time because I met an artist. And this is, if I told his name, you would know him, Ellis, but I'm not going to say his name.
Okay.
And he was doing a comic. He was selling a comic on Free Comic Book Day. And I was looking at it, and I go, man, this look. It was like a public domain golden age character.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, man, this looks really I was impressed because his art looked like golden age style art, and I was like, man, you really captured that look, but it looked but it looked better than a lot of it. And I was like, man, this looks great, and he'd done the cover and everything, and so I bought the book, and it was a couple bucks or whatever. I got home and I got to looking at it, and I realized that what he had done is he had found a public domain comic. And he had just basically drawn a cover for it. He was selling it.
Yeah, selling them, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess why not?
No wonder it looked like a golden age book, And then all of a sudden, from like, oh, okay. And then I realized, yeah, maybe I shouldn't have went off on how great the art looked inside.
Well, I wonder if he was trying to keep that under wraps.
No,
was he?
But it was just the whole project. At that point, the project seemed kind of weird to me because, like, what's he trying to do?
Yeah. Make money, I guess. Yeah, Nasser, I'm rewriting a couple of books first, and then that'll be my next screenplay. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Nasser's been getting into the classics, be it I don't know if he's got some sort of special deal, but he's buying everything Criterion, and he linked me up to a Billy Wilder little mini doc about who is the best screenplay writer of all time, and all these people, all these professionals all agreed that Billy Wilder was the probably the best. And of course,
I can't argue with
loved
that.
we all loved our Sunset Boulevard and our Double Indemnity on Classic Cinema Podcast Night.
Yep.
I guess we were less excited about Double Indemnity, but it was still a great one.
I love Sunset Boulevard. That's a
Yeah.
great movie.
Oh yeah.
That's
Yeah.
that's a classic movie.
I'll send you that link of that little mini doc because it only takes about 15 minutes and it's got some great information in it
Oh yeah.
about Wilder's influence by a guy named Lubitsch and his sense of humor and stuff that is very much kind of like Wilder. And the one takeaway quote in it was like, "Don't just don't stop at good when you're getting a scene written up and constructed. You gotta make go the little extra mile, like a Coen brothers would go the little extra mile to really give you some zing, to really make it a character moment.
Yeah.
No special deal. Me and my brother just like buying movies, especially the classics. That's cool. Now those criterions. What's good about that for me is that our library system that seems to bought most of the criterion library, so that's good. Usually when I see someone is uh, talking about some criterion thing, I can get it. Our library's got it.
They don't have Alphaville.
Oh, they don't.
No,
Interesting.
no, don't have. But it's on.
I bet you they don't have Equinox either, which is a great one as far as the Criterion collection goes, because it's not like it's a great movie or anything, but it's obviously really influenced the Evil Dead that Sam Raimi did, and it's a great story of guys that just were weekend warriors that later all of them became guys that had really good jobs in special effects and other capacities. One guy was one of the actors in WKRP.
Oh, really?
Yeah, yeah. And it's just this little Equinox movie that is very similar of a cabin out in the woods. There's got this uh, guy out there. It's as a matter of fact, a fantasy author, Sword and Sorcery's grandfather, Fritz Lieber, does a cameo in it.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he's the old man out there that gets pushed around by the demonic force. Nasser has seen Equinox. Yeah, really cool special effects, and they go off on. You realize when you tabletop models just drive me crazy when they work. It's like I should be able to see that is an effect, but if you do it really well, it's pretty amazing how much the force perspective you can trick people with. And of course, it goes away the moment someone walks in front of a matte painting or something like that. When it dispels the illusion. But it's like it's always pretty solid up until something goes wrong.
Well, that's the thing. We've been watching a lot of older movies on Classic Cinema Podcast, and you look at that stuff, and I don't know if it's our modern eye or watching or what, but then you see that stuff. Sometimes you're like, okay, I see what's going on here. Some of that stuff just really sticks out.
Oh, Hitchcock had some of the world's worst special effects going on in his movies. It's like it's amazing, but yeah, they're still good stories though.
Who's it?
Hitchcock, the whole North by Northwest thing. Yeah, if you are looking to, and you're not trying to find fault with them, but like you say, that modern eye looks at something and it sees Cary Grant fall on his face in the cornfield, and you realize, man, they're just in a studio with a bunch of corn. It's like
Yeah.
it just
I
becomes real
think
obvious to you.
when I was a kid, I used to watch Doctor Who, and this was during the Tom Baker era, and it used
Uh-huh.
to drive me crazy that the film stock that they used was different for the indoor shots from the outdoor. Now, as an adult, I realized it's because of lighting, and
Uh-huh.
but they just went to a grainier look when they went outside. It drove me crazy.
Yeah, yeah,
When I,
yeah. Kids pick up on that. It's like, hey, this is crummy. This movie doesn't know how to
yeah, what's
please
going
my
on?
eye. Yeah.
And I remember asking my dad about it, and of course, my dad had no idea about anything like that, But
Uh-huh.
I was like, why does this look different when they go outside? And never got a satisfactory answer. But as an adult, you go, oh well, they're using because of lighting. They got to use. I don't know if it'd be. I guess it'd be faster film
Yeah.
or different film stock. But it just
Hey,
really.
that configuration of those two figures looks pretty good together. Hey, it's a 1 hour, 11 minutes.
Oh yeah. Okay,
I've
let's
had,
call
I've
it.
had, we'll call it. And hey, everybody, thanks for joining us. Nasser, Gene,
Yep. Yep.
Natasha. We'll see you again soon. Bye bye. And hey, you want to say anything?
But are they still on?
Yeah, they're still on.
No, I just say, if you're not following me on YouTube, please follow me on YouTube. You know, even though I
Hmm.
hadn't put a new up, I need to
Okay, okay.
record more content. That'd help me get more followers, wouldn't it?
Yeah. No, this one guy I was going to bring up, but I'll save it for next time. The
Okay.
guy that inspired me to talk about the YouTube stuff.
Mm.
I'll bring him up next time.
Sounds
Okay.
good.